just think it's interesting generally to see where coaches come from and if there are any
Yeah.
like trends based off where they come from and their success. I don't know that there are, but I thought I found some interesting stuff in digging into a little bit of that.
I think in the end, I think there can be trends. Do you think you found anything that would affect decision making for ADs? If you were an AD or
No,
you were advising an AD and they were saying, should we hire this assistant? Should we hire this former fired head coach? Should we hire this lower level head coach? Their background, is there something that you liked?
no, it's hard because you could, I think, easily be swayed into believing that it makes more sense to hire like a hot assistant or like whether that's someone in your program or not.
Yeah.
But then the people you would hold up as the best examples of that are like Kirby Smart and Ryan Day and Dan Lanning and Dabo Swinney, and it's like, well, those 4 programs are really good. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well, at least like 3 of the 4. Maybe Clemson wasn't that before Dabo got there. So it's like I don't know that the clothes make the man kind of thing. I think in some of those cases. So no, I don't think there's anything concrete that I would say like yes, this is definitely the right way to do it. There's sort of there are successes and failures for like sort of any profile of candidate you want to find. Yeah.
Can we play a game before we get into the research? Because we don't want it only to be homework time on KOTN. We want it to be game show time. So you want to play a little game show? Game show start?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So this attempted exercise is our 28 Northern head coaches. As we look back on it, but not really taking what happened into account, just the hire at the time, the background of the coach at the time. Did we like the hire in retrospect? And we're not going to pretend that we had super strong opinions on when Chris Kleiman got hired at Kansas State. Be like, oh man, I remember just sitting on my couch being like, what a terrible hire by Kansas State. Or they nailed it. I love that hire. So it's a little retrospective and reflective, which is hard to then not take the results into account, but we're going to do it anyway. We can do it, right?
We can do it. We can do whatever we want. It's our show. Yeah.
Okay. Let's start in the Big 12, our teams. And we're just going to say reasonable hire, or at the time of the hire itself, would there have been questions about, I don't know about this. I think they could have done better. Okay. So we're going to see how many of our 28 would you say, I think they could have done better in the moment. All right. Kansas with Lance Leipold.
Good.
Yeah. Kansas State, Chris Kleiman.
Yeah. Good. Excellent.
Good. Colorado, Deion Sanders.
Good.
Iowa State, Matt Campbell.
Good.
BYU, Kalani Sitake.
Good.
Yeah. Utah, Kyle Whittingham.
I mean, at the time, replacing Urban Meyer. I don't know. Maybe you questioned it some, but it's hard for 20 years to say it wasn't good.
You know what? I got a bone to pick with the Utah administration. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Although I'm sure part of what they were thinking 2 decades ago was we got this hotshot guy who was awesome here. Urban Meyer was 22-2 in 2 years at Utah and helped. It's the greatest 2-year run in Utah history, but used Utah as a stepping stone. And I'm sure they were looking for somebody with some more roots. So they promoted from within. And then guess what? It worked gangbusters. The guy with roots has been incredible, has been regularly ranked among the 10 best coaches in college football and never left. Never was looking to use Utah for a stepping stone.
I knew that Whittingham was already at Utah when Meyer got there. I did not know that Whittingham has been at Utah since 1994. That's a long time.
It was a reaction. It was great. We want roots because you get burned. You feel nobody, even when you understand what you are as a program, it's not that fun to feel like a stepping stone.
No.
You want to feel like you are a goal. And so we're not going to bend ourselves into pretzels to retroactively question the hiring of Kyle Whittingham and the shadow of the Urban Meyer departure. So we're good.
Yeah.
West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez.
Questionable.
Okay. I like it. You're questioning. I figured you'd say that. Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield. Okay, we don't have to do that. You just say questionable. I think that's an obvious one. So we've got 1.5 out of 8 in the Big 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse, Fran Brown.
I think I probably did. I questioned it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say
because you were all about it. I was more. I thought they needed like head coaching experience and like a proven program builder, and I was wrong.
Yeah. They sort of had tried that like with Dino Babers and promoting a MAC coach who had succeeded. And so they took a swing on a guy who was a position coach, who was a really good position coach with Northern roots. Couldn't love it more. Yeah. But I'll put you down for questioning. Way to be honest. I appreciate you being honest with yourself and not just being like, I was on the Fran train from the jump. Bill O'Brien at Boston College.
Yeah, good. I liked that when it happened.
Yeah, I liked it too. Pat Narduzzi at Pitt.
Good.
I think like incredibly successful defensive coordinator in the footprint.
Yeah.
Guy with people say ice in their veins. He's got snowflakes in his veins. He's got snowflakes and hoodies and fall leaves in his veins. So yeah, we're down with Pat Narduzzi. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame.
I probably questioned that a little bit too. Just because it felt like they let the players pick the coach.
The issue here is that just I believe in people, Bill. I really do. Yeah. I see the best in people. And so I was like, Marcus Freeman, can't let that guy out of the building. Can't let him out of the building. Thank you for being honest. Let's go to the Big Ten. Oregon and Dan Lanning.
Good.
Washington and Jed Fish.
Good.
Okay, I'll put a question mark here. Your question mark was, is he going to stay? But the fact that he was successful at Arizona and now let's go be successful at Washington. But I was maybe a little, I'm not sure about it. But they get a guy with head coaching experience to replace a guy who made the national title game.
I was definitely concerned about him not being there for more than a year. So if that qualifies as questioning the hire, then that's okay with me.
Iowa, Kirk Ferentz.
I was 11. So I don't know that I had any opinion.
I can just see little Bill Landis is like getting up the bat at wiffle ball in 5th grade and is like, by the way, for real, this guy who used to be the main coach, he's an NFL O-line coach. I can't believe Iowa didn't hire a Stoops. Anyway, bring that wiffle ball action to me right here. Yeah. Scott Docterman has written in recent times a great piece on the hiring of Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, and Bob Stoops was kind of like the guy that was out there and was, he's an alum and he's interested. But Iowa was a little slow on the draw, and then he went to Oklahoma, and then they were like, Ferentz is our guy. So they zeroed in on it pretty quick. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure this is what the exercise is to be like the most questionable hires of 1999 here on KOTN. So we'll just say that was good. PJ Fleck at Minnesota.
Good.
Yeah, I think
I liked it.
That was still in that era, and not that we're completely out of the era, but of are you kicking butt in the MAC and you're ready to jump to a mid-tier Big Ten school or mid-tier ACC school? Let's do it. So I don't think I'd be questioning that. Matt Rule at Nebraska.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good when they made the hire.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were excited. Yeah. David Braun at Northwestern.
I didn't love it, but I sort of understood it. So I would say fine, maybe.
It's hard. I think you can answer. I'll put it in the questionable pile because you understood in the moment a surprise firing. There's desperation to have somebody who is in the building, but yet is not associated with any of the hazing allegations because he had just been hired. So he was there, but he had not been around for any of the stuff. He fit a very specific niche, and you got it. But would David Braun's background lead you to believe that he should be the head coach at Northwestern? I mean, probably not. Right. No. And then he was great in year one. And then he was more than you ever could have hoped for in year one. So this is not a criticism of David Braun. It's would Northwestern hire, is David Braun, that background, that guy, the best Northwestern could do as a head coach? Under any kind of normal circumstances, no. So I'll put it in the questionable pile.
Makes sense.
Brett Bielema, Illinois.
Love it.
Bring him home. Bring him home. What are we doing? Love it. Purdue, Barry Odom.
Okay. Like maybe a little questionable. Only because I wanted to see I thought Purdue was going to like go back to its offensive mastermind head coach roots, and it didn't do that.
So you want to put it on questionable for you? I'm okay with it.
No, I would say okay. I would say okay.
Okay. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell.
I really liked it when it happened.
In the moment. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Michigan State, Jonathan Smith, in the moment.
Yeah, good.
Love it. Indiana, Kurt Signetti.
Good.
Early adopters here. All for it. Mike Loxley at Maryland.
Yep. Good. I thought
Maryland guy through and through. Success at Alabama. Had sort of been a head coach before and not had success, but had figured it out and had really been a very good assistant coach in college football for a long time. Totally get it. Rutgers, Greg Schiano.
No brainer.
Michigan, Sharon Moore.
I was a little questionable on that one, I think.
The idea of, is that the best they could do? I mean, they're coming off a national title. If you had gone and said, like, we just want to have a guy with head coaching experience who maybe he's not on the Harbaugh tree, but plays a similar physical style or whatever, like you could have done that. Even if you're not against it, I think questioning it is reasonable. Ryan Day at Ohio State.
So it's a similar situation, but I was like pretty into the idea of Ryan Day because that was at the peak of Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, and Gene Smith every time he could compared Ryan Day to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, succeeding Bob Stoops. So I was just drinking that Kool-Aid. So I was not so much questioning putting a guy who had never been a head coach before in charge of Ohio State.
Is it fair to put Sharon Moore on a questionable list, but not Ryan Day on a questionable list? I think it's so similar.
I would say yes, maybe only because you could draw a sort of straighter line to the like tangible impact that Ryan Day had on Ohio State as an assistant coach than more so than I think you could do for Sharon Moore.
I mean, I do think Sharon Moore, what he did on the offensive line, he was part of that when Harbaugh flipped to the assistant coaches and reinvigorated the program in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're similar enough. We should put them in the same category. We're not doubting it, but I think, could you have done something different and had good options? Yes, you could have in both circumstances. Sure. So, and then Penn State, James Franklin.
Yeah, I liked it when they did it. Yeah.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 20 that we just it's nailed it. Don't doubt it. Mm-hmm. Ohio State and Michigan, it's not the same thing that we're talking about. So we can slide those over. So that would be 22. Fran Brown and Marcus Freeman. I don't know if you really in your heart, I might give you a break. We'll just pretend you didn't say that stuff before. The bottom line is this, right? So the 8 on our list originally who were maybe questionable at the time. West Virginia and Rich Rod, that's you. Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield, that's both of us. Syracuse, Fran Brown, you. Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, you. Washington, Jed Fish, me. Northwestern, both of us, but understanding the circumstance. And then the Ohio State, Michigan thing. Bottom line here. I think you could argue 27 of 28. I get it. When they announce it, you at least see it. And maybe it's a swing. Like Fran Brown's a swing. Maybe it's kind of a circumstance that you're for or against, like Rich Rodriguez at West Virginia, but you certainly understand the reasoning. It's not inexplicable, right? Mm-hmm. David Braun, circumstance, a lot of it. Marcus Freeman, you certainly understood it. Marcus Freeman really very much in the same category of Sharon Moore and Ryan Day. They're in the building. They're successful. But could you go get an experienced head coach when these guys have never done it before? And these are arguably the 3 biggest programs in the North, and they all promoted an assistant from within. So I think all of that, it's more philosophical, but I don't think any of the 3 are I can't believe they did that. So I think maybe the only one where in the moment you would have a lot of questions is Scott Satterfield, who left Louisville, I think maybe before the posse came to get him to slide to Cincinnati, which the point is, congrats to the North. Kind of have a handle on this, yes?
Yeah, I think the processes from almost all of them make sense, which is a thing that I tend to get hung up on. That's part like but my concerns about like Marcus Freeman had nothing to do with what I think of Marcus Freeman as a coach. Is just like, was that the best process to find Notre Dame the best coach possible? And it seems like it probably was, but in the moment, I don't know that it felt like that. And I would say that maybe the same thing about Ohio State, to be fair, and Michigan as well. But um, it's not like the decision in any of those three circumstances was like totally out of bounds. And a lot of the other ones were like totally sensible, if not sort of excellent processes to land where those programs landed.
And I think in the end, it's certainly much less about background and much more about process. And
Mhm.
does the school have a set of things that they're looking for? Do they do due diligence and interview a bunch of good people in the process? And when they explain it, can you see the reasoning? And so, who are we to say, I can't believe they hired a guy with no head coaching experience? I can't believe they hired a guy who got fired 5 years ago. If it feels like they had a good idea in the process of what they wanted and then they got it,